Last episode, we covered every Monster Hunter slang and phrase that I could think of, off the top of my head in about a day or so. But luckily, we don't have to rely on my head anymore, because now we've got your heads. Today, we're going to cover a bunch more Monster Hunter terms and phrases, most of which I've stolen from suggestions in the comments to the last video. Some of these are Monster Hunter unique, and some of them are just general video game terms that have extra meaning in Monster Hunter. If I mess something up, or you have more to add or cover, leave them in the comments for this video, because I have varying levels of knowledge on Monster Hunter, and I'm always happy when I get to learn more things from you guys. Quick heads up, there's a bunch that didn't make it from the last video, but don't worry, I have them written down, and they will make it in later. And now, let's start with subscribing. This is when you help the channel out by clicking 1 or even 2 buttons down below. Fleets. Each Monster Hunter series combo is treated like a new fleet of hunters that the guild sends out into the world on a crazy adventure. Each fleet is given a number corresponding with their generation, and players use the title of Nth-Fleet Hunter, with N being the generation you started with, to refer to when they entered the Monster Hunter franchise. For example, if you came in during Monster Hunter World or Rise, you are a 5th Fleet Hunter. If you started playing during Monster Hunter Tri, you are a 3rd Fleet Hunter, and you're also 50% fish. If you started in Monster Hunter, no subtitle, you are a 1st Fleet Hunter and are eligible for a 10% discount at Ross's Dress for Less on Tuesdays. If you started playing in Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin or Monster Hunter Now, then I don't know what fleet you're from. I couldn't find anything on it, so I'm hoping one of you guys maybe know. Each fleet has its own flags, in-game characters, and quality-of-life horror stories to tell the following generations. Capping. In the real world, capping is what gangsters do to each other. Bang bang! And in more recent times, it's what liars do to others. But in Monster Hunter, capping is short for capturing monsters, where you bring them to the brink of death, shove them in a hole, force them to eat some Tylenol PM, and drag their asses back to camp. Now, whether this is better for loot and parts depends on the game and what parts specifically you're looking for, but it is usually faster and safer than slaying a monster, and is generally more humane, unless you bring them back to camp and beat the shit out of them a second time. So if you're ever in a quest and the host says, "Hang on, I'm gonna cap it," what do? That's right, you start wailing on it. I'm kidding, stop attacking and let him capture it. Desire sensor. I skipped this one last time because it's a pretty universal term in any game with RNG loot mechanics. But you guys want it a lot, and I'm here to give it to you. The desire sensor is how players describe when a game won't give you an RNG drop because it seemingly senses you want it. This can be a rare weapon in an MMO, a specific pool in a gacha, or a card in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links if you know any losers who play that game. Oh wait. However, the Monster Hunter Desire Sensor is well known for rubbing a specific kind of salt in your wounds. Monsters will often have 1 or even 2 materials that are their rare drops, like gems or plates or nuclear fucking reactors, and some sicko on the dev team will always make sure that that exact rare item is necessary to craft the thing that you want. And if the game finds out that you're looking for that material in particular, not only will you not get it, but the game will make sure to instead give it to all your friends who are just on the exact same hunt as you. Individual player loot, and also no trading loot. Now, every single hunter knows, in their brains, that this is just in our heads, but our hearts say differently. And some hunters have certain rituals that they'll take to make sure that the game doesn't know what they're looking for, like not adding certain armor pieces to your wish list, or not saying the name of the part you need too close to your mic. Sleepbombing. Similar to wall banging from the previous episode, sleepbombing is another eloquently named phrase from the Monster Hunter community. When fighting a monster, it's pretty rare to have an opening where it's standing still for a few seconds, let alone lying on the ground defenseless. And so, when a monster happens to be asleep, either because it just got tired of fighting or you shot it with too much Tylenol PM, hunters want to rack up as much free damage as possible while waking it up, to minimize the amount of time you need to spend while it's in danger mode. This free damage usually comes in the form of 8 gigantic barrel bombs directly to the forehead.
Directly to the forehead.
Do you have any ibuprofen? I got a headache.
Since you bomb it in its sleep, the poets of the Monster Hunter community have named it Sleepbombing. Pickle. Enough said. Spicy pickle. Enough said. Superman Dive. This is the name for the special dodge animation you can do where you sheath your weapon, begin booking it in the opposite direction, and make a daring dive for your life. While it does require a quick second to put your weapon away, or in the case of the bow or charge blade 3 to 5 business days, it also has an iframe window of 3 years, meaning it's large enough to dodge most monster attacks, Elder Dragon Novas, and even failed relationships. It's called the Superman Dive because not only do you dive, but you also look a bit like the well-known superhero Batman while you do it, who is Superman's friend, hence the Superman Dive. Je suis monté. Back in the ancient olden days known as Monster Hunter 4, Capcom introduced a new mechanic known as mounting, where if you built up enough aerial attack damage, you could eventually jump onto the monster and play the Monster Meter Mashing minigame. You probably know this mechanic because it's still here now. And what better weapon to do aerial damage than the new Tamagotchi flight simulator weapon, which consists of about 50% aerial damage and 50% bug bites. For reasons that I don't personally know, because I played this game super late on my wife's Ponk Nintendo DS like a child, French players had an odd affinity for avoiding combat altogether and attempted to play only the monster meter mashing minigame by spamming aerial moves with the insect glaive. And with the non-stop mounting came the non-stop mount messages, which in default French is Je suis monté, which has become the de facto meme for insect glaive mounting, and really just any mounting at this point. And like all Monster Hunter memes, just like Fatalis, they never truly die, and to this very day, you still see Je suis monté, even if they're not French, and occasionally the German equivalent Ich bin drauf. And that's it for this episode. Thank you guys for all the comments on the last one. I know I missed a bunch, like Nova. We'll do Nova and Alt in the next one. Feel free to leave more in this video, or leave them again if you really want me to cover them. I'm like really hyped for Wilds, I think everyone is, so if you enjoy the Monster Hunter content, stick around and I will keep making these, outside of my work. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.